First, see here the last formula that I have written down. If sinusoid of frequency small f is sampled at a rate fs less than twice f, the alias of f is magnitude of nfs minus f, where capital N is the uh, value of and if there is a difference between this formula and whatever I am writing down, it's my fault, my way of analysis. So say it's f is 100 hertz and fs is 120 hertz. Then what will happen? What will be the alias? It will be according to this expression 20 hertz, 120 minus 100. And now consider f equal to 100 hertz and fs equal to 190 hertz, just less than twice f. So if that is the case, then also according to this expression, it will be 90 hertz, the aliased frequency. All right. So in both the cases, it is fs minus f, whether fs is close to f or whether it is very close to twice f. So what you are saying, according to this expression, it's not telling with this expression, isn't it?
Yes,
Pranodip,
sir. Yes, sir.
come back to this place. This কোথায় গেল রে বাবা? Oh, I have not written down that word. Anyway, so that was, this is the case for fs greater than f less than twice f. All right. There first I added twice pi n and subtracted twice pi n to find that it is minus a sine twice pi fs minus f by fs n minus theta. Therefore, I concluded that, I mean, it's obvious that x and tau is also the sampled version of sinusoid with frequency f prime. Divided by epsilon n plus theta. Epsilon is fs by f. If it is fs by f, then the numerator has f minus twice fs and here you have fs. Just 1 minute. Minus twice fs. This is for that range, fs greater than f less than twice f. Won't this frequency be negative? F minus twice fs. So this is negative. So you just consider minus a sine twice pi twice fs minus f by fs. Now, so x and tau is also the sampled version of a sinusoid with frequency twice fs minus f. But twice fs minus f is greater than fs minus f. So fs minus f is the smallest frequency. It is the smallest frequency sinusoid that x and tau can represent, provided fs lies in this range. Is that clear? If that is the case, then I can't understand what.
Sir, here you have presented an example where f is equal to 100 hertz and fs is equal to 190 hertz. So in that case, if we consider f minus f, fs minus f, sorry, if fs minus f, so fs minus f is 90 hertz, okay, but if we consider 2f minus fs, then it is given 10 hertz. So 10 hertz is less than 90 hertz, so accordingly 10 hertz should be the alias of
2f minus fs.
2f minus fs. Yes. Why it is not so, that is I can.
2f minus fs. Why it is not coming in this way? That is also not in agreement with this expression, isn't it?
Oh, okay, sir. That means NFS minus F. Yes.
Yes, yes. That expression I have
Okay,
not
okay.
derived. That is a general, well-known expression.
Okay,
Neither
sir.
it is coming.
Think.
You just try to think it over. I'll also think it over. Twice f minus fs. In which range is it lying? Twice f minus fs. Yes, what you have stated is correct, but twice f minus fs. Then why it is not coming in this way? This derivation is all right, I think. 4 pi n, then minus 4 pi. There is a problem or what? That thing. Minus 4 pi n, it's all right. Okay, I'll think it over again. I don't know. I tried to derive it in this manner. Anyway, তুমিও চিন্তা করো একটু.
Sir,
Okay,
the
sir.
expression that you wrote was mod of n fs minus f, but here we are saying it is twice f minus fs. So that part is not in agreement with that expression.
Yes, yes, yes. That is true, but
Sir,
what he is
actually,
saying.
yes, sir. Actually, I think that cannot be possible because the expression of x n tau, the basic expression is a sine 2 pi n by epsilon plus theta. So if there is 2f, then that should be a sine 4 pi n by epsilon plus theta. Some 4 pi n would be there. So that's why this is not coming actually. So that's why it is not possible,
Oh,
I think.
that is the case. Okay, okay.
Yes.
তাহলে কি আমার ডেরিভেশনটা ঠিক আছে?
Yes, sir. Your derivation is correct.
Okay. Actually, these things, this aliasing, etc., in the textbooks, usually they do it. Usually means almost all the cases they do it in the frequency domain. But we thought that it's better to, it's more convenient to understand if we carry out analysis in the time domain. Anyway, so what you are saying may be correct. Anyway, so that is solved. Now let's move on to the Z transform. First, I am just introducing Z transform. The transforms that you are aware of are the Laplace transform and Fourier transform. Therefore, I am trying to proceed from the Laplace transform to the Z transform. Suppose you have a continuous time signal xt, which is sampled at a rate fs equal to 1 by tau. The sampled version of xt is x tilde t equal to that summation that we have derived, equation 1. All right, n having values of 0, plus minus 1, plus minus 2, etc. Now in equation 1, if you just take the Laplace transform of both sides, that Laplace transform operator will only operate on the functions of small t. Whenever the argument is small t only, or that function will the Laplace transform operate. So it will not operate on x and tau. To the that x and tau will appear as a constant to the Laplace transform operator. Therefore, before that, let me just simplify it further. Instead of x and tau, you may write xn. Why? Because once you have fixed up the time period, the period of sampling, once tau gets fixed to the processor, the sample values x and tau, they are nothing but a sequence of numbers. So that's why we can discard tau and just write it in this way, xn. You can write it as x subscript n or x with argument n as shown here. It is actually x n tau, which is xt evaluated for t equal to n tau. All right. Now, if you take the Laplace transform, what will happen? On the left-hand side, you will have capital X. According to the standard convention, you will have capital X tilde S, which is the Laplace transform of small x tilde t. And on the right-hand side, there will be the Laplace transform of this summation. So you can take the Laplace transform operator inside. Xn will be a constant, will appear as a constant to the Laplace transform operator. Laplace transform of delta t minus n tau is e to the power minus s n tau. So this is called a discrete Laplace transform, or in some cases, starred Laplace transform, because probably in the initial days of Z transform, that instead what I am representing at x tilde t, that was represented as x asterisk t. So that's why the name starred Laplace transform. If you simply write discrete Laplace transform, then also it's all right. Now, we have obtained this expression for the Laplace transform. But because this expression for the Laplace transform, it has an exponential term, and the power contains this s. Therefore, it will be difficult to handle. That is the reason, for convenience, e to the power s tau, that is replaced by z, where z is a complex variable. S is a complex variable, therefore e to the power s tau, which is z, which is now represented by z, that also will be a complex variable. So then what happens to this discrete Laplace transform? It becomes xn z to the power minus n. Because s has been absorbed within z, therefore it is logical that we don't represent it as a function of s. Rather, we represent it as a function of z. So xz is the z transform of the sequence xn. So z transform and discrete Laplace transform, they are essentially the same thing. Z transform is nothing but a more convenient of expressing the discrete Laplace transform. So we have the Z transform operator in operational form. This is the expression for the Z transform. So where this is the Z transform operator, equal to sign with delta over that, it represents defined as. That represents defined as. Now, if you impose if you consider a particular case, special case, when xn sequence, it is a causal sequence. That means xn has 0 values for n less. So equation 5, it is a series in positive and negative powers of z to the power minus 1. equation 6, it's a series in only negative power, only positive powers of z to the power minus 1. Equation 5, it is called the bilateral or two-sided z transform, and equation 6 is known as the unilateral or one-sided z transform. So as I have stated, I have written down here, write down up to this part, then I'll proceed. So the sequence, in some cases, I'll represent that by x subscript n. In some cases, it is represented as x with argument n. So they are same thing. Xn is a sequence, or it's also known as a time series, because the independent variable is actually time. It is also known as time series. But Xn, the term sequence is a more general term, because although in our application, in our case, we are considering that the Z transform is applied on time series, in many cases, the independent variable won't be time, something else. Can be spatial distance or anything else. I repeat, those who have joined late, please put your roll number in the chat box. For our purpose, we will consider bilateral Z transform. Talking about causal and non-causal sequences, or causal and non-causal signals in general, for the continuous time case, we discussed about only causal signals. Although it's true that in section B, and probably I don't know whether Professor Bhattacharya has done or not this time, we have also considered bilateral Laplace transform. Ordinarily, you study the one-sided Laplace transform because the signals that are of interest to conventional electrical engineers, they are all causal signals, the continuous time signals. But in case of discrete time signals, the signals that are of interest, they may be causal signals as well as non-causal signals. Causal signals you easily understand. A stream of data is coming in. So at every instant, you represent the current sample as xn and previous samples as xn minus 1, xn minus 2, like that. Now, think about the offline signal processing. An abundance of data, they have come in and they are kept stored in some memory device, hard disk or CD or whatever it may be. And at some convenient or appropriate future instant of time, you are processing that data. Now the choice of origin, n equal to 0, it rests on you. So then you may have also non-causal signals, non-causal time series. All right, so that's why we are interested in this bilateral Z transform. Because we can have both causal and non-causal time series here. Once you have written down this part, now concentrate on the complex variable Z. In case of the complex variable S, the complex frequency, corresponding to that, you had the Argand diagram, which was referred to as S plane. So in case of Z also, you will have an Argand diagram because Z is a complex variable and that will be referred to as the Z plane. So because Z is a complex variable, it can be expressed either in the Cartesian form or in the polar form or in the exponential form. So Z is e to the power S tau. Therefore, S is 1 by tau natural logarithm of Z. Now, we will consider it in details. Just there is a passing observation that if you expand this natural logarithm of Z into an infinite series, then what will be the nature of the series? Natural logarithm of Z expanded into an infinite series. What will be the nature of the expansion, the series? লিখেছো?
Yes, sir.
This is the nature of the infinite series into which natural logarithm of z can be expanded. If I forcibly truncate this series after the first term, then you get this expression. All right, approximate expression for natural logarithm of z. What is the logic? What is the rationale behind truncating this series after the first term? I am not making any comment about that, but as we start discussing about discrete time systems, it will be clear to you what may be the rationale behind truncating the series after the first term. So if that is natural logarithm of z, approximate expression for natural logarithm of z, then making the substitution there, what do you get? You get an approximate expression for s as 2 by tau 1 minus z to the power minus 1 by 1 plus z to the power minus 1, which can also be written as 2 by tau z minus 1 by z plus 1. This transformation is known as bilinear transformation or Tustin transformation. Transformation from z to s. It is called bilinear transformation because just observe this, whatever I have written in yellow here. Both the numerator and denominator, they are linearly related to z. That is why bilinear transformation it's known as. Now s is sigma plus j omega, so z is e to the power sigma tau, e to the power j omega tau. So e to the power sigma tau, it is the magnitude of z, and omega tau is the argument of z. I have written it down in the polar form. If you write it down in the Cartesian form, you'll have a real part and an imaginary part. U is real part, u will be e to the power sigma tau cosine omega tau, and imaginary part v will be e to the power sigma tau sine omega tau. All right. So in the z plane, if this is the u axis, that is the jv axis, any point on the z plane, if you draw a straight line joining the origin to that point, that is z. All right, that is z. The length of this straight line is e to the power sigma tau. So the magnitude of z is e to the power sigma tau. And the angle that this straight line makes with the positive direction of the real axis, that will give you the argument of z, omega tau. So as omega increases, this angle will go on increasing, or for a given omega is tau increases, then this angle will also increase. All right. If sigma remains constant and omega varies, then what will happen? What will be the locus of the point? I mean, locus of the trajectory of this point? It will be a circle centered at origin in the z plane. All right. From what I have written regarding the expression for magnitude of z, you can easily make out that if sigma is less than 0, magnitude of z will be less than 1. If sigma is equal to 0, magnitude of z is equal to 1. And if sigma is greater than 0, magnitude of z is greater than 1. We will discuss about the implications of these observations later, but you can well understand sigma less than 0 in the S-plane represents the left-hand side of the S-plane, isn't it? Sigma less than 0. Corresponding to that, magnitude of z is less than 1. Or, before I point out that, first consider this one. Sigma is the circumference of a unit circle centered at origin in the z-plane. Sigma less than 0 come to here, this case. Sigma less than 0 means the left-hand side of the S-plane. Magnitude of z less than 1 means the interior of the unit circle centered at origin in the z-plane. So the left half of the S-plane will have a correspondingly, the corresponding region in the Z plane will be the interior of the unit circle centered at origin in the Z plane. Similarly, sigma greater than 0 means the right hand side of the S plane. Corresponding to that, magnitude of Z will be greater than 1. Therefore, the right hand side of the S plane will map onto the exterior of the unit circle centered at origin in the Z plane. We will discuss this at length. For the time being, I have made these observations. Write down this part. কেউ যদি কিছু মিস করো আমাকে বলবে, আমি আবার ওই পেছনে ফিরে যাব। So we are considering the Z transforms of some elementary sequences. First sequence is the unit step sequence. I have defined it. What will be the Z transform? It's a causal signal, causal sequence. This is the sequence. I have started from the basic expression for the bilateral Z transform. Then I have written summation over n equal to 0 to infinity 1 into z to the power minus n, because for n equal to 0 to infinity un is 1 and before that un is 0. Now if you just blow up this summation, it's 1 plus z to the power minus 1 plus z to the power minus 2, etc. Infinite series. Under what condition will this series converge? If you remember that z is a complex variable. So from the theory of complex variable, you know that this series will converge only if magnitude of z is greater than 1. So that condition is represented in this way, that we say that region of convergence of the z transform of unit step, its magnitude of z greater than 1. And what will be the expression for the z transform? Under such a condition, it will be 1 by 1 minus z to the power minus 1 or z by z minus 1. Why do I call it region of convergence? Because magnitude of z equal to 1 represents a circle of unit radius centered at origin in the z. If it won't give the figure, then it will not be possible for you to visualize. This is the all these three conditions have been depicted in the figure that I am attaching now. Region to the left of the j omega axis that maps into the interior of this unit circle centered at origin in the z plane. J omega axis maps onto the circumference of this unit circle centered at origin in the Z plane. There are more intricate things. I'll cover that later. And the right hand side of the Z plane, S plane, maps onto the exterior of this unit circle centered at origin in the Z plane. All right. So when I say magnitude of Z is greater than 1, it means the region, complete region to the exterior of the unit circle. That means this region. The unit circle is here and the complete region outside the unit circle. All right. That is the region in the Z plane where the Z transform of UN converges. And what is the expression to which it converges? Z by Z minus 1. Recall that Laplace transform of the unit step signal, it was 1 by S. Anyway, so if you have written down this one, I'll proceed. এই ছবিটাও আগে এঁকে নিতে পারো, তাহলে সুবিধা হবে। That operator, capital Z to the power minus 1, that is the inverse Z transform operator. Z transform operator takes you from the S plane to the Z plane, whereas the inverse Z transform operator takes you from the Z plane to the S plane. That is the implication. হয়েছে আঁকা? So whenever you find out the Z transform, it is imperative that you also mention the region of convergence. The region of convergence is of origin in the S plane, while for this unit step sequence, the Z transform of the unit step sequence, there you have a 0 here at the origin in the Z plane and a pole here at Z equal to 1. Come to the unit discrete impulse sequence, also known as the Kronecker delta sequence or unit sample sequence.
স্যার একটু স্ক্রল আপ করবেন।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ শিওর। আরেকটু।
না স্যার ঠিক আছে।
হয়েছে?
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
That unit sample sequence is defined as delta n equal to 1 for n equal to 0 and delta n equal to 0 for n not equal to 0. তোমরা এত সিগন্যাল সিস্টেমস ইত্যাদি পড়ানো হচ্ছে, ইন স্পাইট অফ দ্যাট গ্র্যান্ড ভাইভাই কি অন্য কোনো ইন্টারভিউ if you are asked to sequence,
Sir,
দেখো, in case of this left hand side diagram, this is the pole zero plot for the Laplace transform of the continuous time unit step.
yes sir, yes sir.
It has a single pole at origin. And on the right hand side, you have the pole zero diagram for the Z transform of discrete unit step sequence. The expression for the Z transform is Z by Z minus 1, isn't it?
Yes
Z
sir.
by Z minus 1. So there is a 0 at Z equal to 0, and there is a pole at Z equal to 1.
Yes
So
sir.
that's what I have shown here. 0 here at the origin in the Z plane, and a pole here
Okay sir, now
at
it's
Z
clear. Thank
equal
you.
to 1. I should have labeled it as Z equal to 1.
Yes sir, yes sir.
So nothing more.
Thank you sir.
করো। হয়েছে এটা লেখা। Now note, just recall these things. Area under is
স্যার আমাদের মনে হয়
continuous.
আগেরটা লেখা হয়নি।
ও এটা
ইয়েস স্যার।
হয়েছে।
Yes.
Now just recall that
স্যার এই ডায়াগ্রামের উপরের পোর্শনটা আমাদের মনে হয় লেখা হয়নি। Sir, above the diagram, that part also.
কোন ডায়াগ্রাম?
হ্যাঁ স্যার, এই পোর্শনটা লেখা হয়নি।
সরি, হ্যাঁ।
হ্যালো, না দাদা বেরোবে, আমি এখন বেরোবো না, দাদা বেরোবে 1:30 বাজবে, তুমি খেয়ে নিতে পারো। হ্যাঁ, বাথরুমে যাবে, যাও।
ডেল্টা না, ডেটটা দুটো বেজে যাবে।
2 বাজবে, দাদার 2 বাজবে দাদার বেরোতে।
হয়েছে?
হ্যাঁ 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 হ্যাঁ, ওটা নিয়ে যাবে। না না
হ্যাঁ স্যার, এটা হয়ে
স্যার এটা হয়েছে, নিচের গুলো হয়নি। হ্যাঁ স্যার,
ওটা তো আমি
এই
পরে
জায়গাটা হয়নি।
বলছি, এই যে
আচ্ছা স্যার।
এটা আর এখন আমি লিখতে বলিনি এটা।
ঠিক আছে।
এইগুলো you know all these things. Now what are the equivalents? In case of delta n, if you add delta n from n equal to minus infinity to plus infinity, for all instants of time, what will happen? Delta n will have zero value except at n equal to 0, and so only one term will remain, and that is for n equal to 0, for which delta n is 1. So delta 0 term only will be there. So that is 1. So this summation will be 1. Delta n is un minus un minus 1. Just take, this is un, and un minus 1 is this unit step sequence pushed rightward by one sample. So un minus 1, it has 0 values for n less than 1, and it has value of 1 for n greater than equal to 1. So if you subtract un minus 1 from un, what will happen? Only one vertical line of unit height that will be there. All other vertical lines, they will cancel out. If you consider the difference between the two, do you understand? So only one vertical line of unit height at n equal to 0, that means delta n. So this will yield delta n. Un will be, in case of the continuous time signal, ut is the integral of delta lambda from minus infinity to t. I have used, instead of t, I have used a different symbol for time here just for mathematical correctness, because ultimately you want to have a function of t. So here, as the variable of integration, therefore you cannot use t. So here, what will be the equivalent? Un equal to summation over I equal to minus infinity to n. All right. So here you will have the summation will result in un. Write down this part. Just 1 minute. Un is given by that summation because only for I equal to n, the term only for I equal to n, that term will be present in this summation. For all other values of I, delta I will be 0.
Sir,
বলো।
sir, there you wrote un equals to summation I equals to minus infinity to minus infinity to n delta I, right?
Hmm.
So can't it be written in this way, summation I equals to minus infinity to plus infinity delta n minus I?
Summation delta n minus I.
Summation I equals to minus infinity to upper limit is plus infinity, and the variable is delta n minus I instead of delta I. Yeah.
দেখো যদি হয় তাহলে তাই সেইভাবেও লেখা যেতে পারে। আমি এর সঙ্গে প্যারিটি রাখার জন্য এইভাবে রিপ্রেজেন্ট করেছি, ডেল্টা এন মাইনাস আই, ডেল্টা এন মাইনাস আই তার মানে ডেল্টা এন মাইনাস ওয়ান, ডেল্টা এন মাইনাস টু, ডেল্টা এন মাইনাস থ্রি, এরকম সবগুলো আসবে না। তাহলে কি হবে? Then you will have delta n plus 1, delta n plus 2, delta n plus 3, because left hand side should be un. Try to understand, left hand side should be un. So if you write in the manner that you have stated, then what will be the summation consisting of? Delta n will be there, delta n minus 1 will be there, delta n minus 2 will be there, delta n minus 3 will be there. Infinite number of samples at previous instance and
No,
future
sorry.
instance.
Sir, sorry. The summation could be, sir, I equal to 0 to infinity, positive infinity, and delta n minus I.
Then delta n plus 1, delta n plus 2, delta n plus 3, all these things will be there. The way that I have written here, there will be no function of n. Only one single value of, I mean, what should I say? Only single term involving n should be there. তুমি তো
Okay,
পেতে
sir.
চাইছো বাঁদিকে একটা টার্ম যেটাতে n রয়েছে, তাহলে ডান দিকে যদি তোমার n plus 1, n plus 2 এরকম টার্ম গুলোও থাকে তাহলে তো হবে না, শুধু একটা n এর টার্ম থাকতে হবে। সেই জন্য এইভাবে লিখেছি, বুঝতে পেরেছো?
হ্যাঁ স্যার।
হুম, হয়ে গেলে বলো।
স্যার,
হ্যাঁ,
হ্যাঁ স্যার, মানে ও যেটা বললো যে সামেশন মানে ইউএনটাকে এরকম করে তো লেখা যেতেই পারে, মানে ডেল্টা অফ এন মাইনাস আই আই ইকুয়াল টু 0 টু ইনফিনিটি, তাহলে তো মানে ডেল্টা এন প্লাস ডেল্টা এন মাইনাস ওয়ান ডেল্টা এন মাইনাস টু এই টার্ম গুলো থাকে তাহলে তো ইউএন হয়, মানে এখানে আপনি যেটা লিখেছেন এটা ঠিক
না, কেন
বুঝতে
ইউএন
পারলাম না
হবে?
কি করে ইউএন।
কেন
তাহলে
ইউএন
ওটা সব
হবে
পুরো
বলো?
রাইট শিফটেড হয়ে যাচ্ছে একটা করে, সেটাই
তোমার
ভাবছিলাম।
তোমার ডেল্টা এন রয়েছে, আর ও যেভাবে বললো তাতে তোমার ডেল্টা এন থাকবে এবং ডেল্টা এন এর শিফটেড ভার্সন গুলো থাকবে সমস্ত।
রাইট
হ্যাঁ
শিফটেড।
স্যার, হ্যাঁ স্যার।
তাহলে তো সেটা হওয়ার কথা না ইউএন।
স্যার ইউএনটা তো বেসিক্যালি ডেল্টা এন এর রাইট শিফটেড ভার্সন গুলোরই মানে সামেশন না, মানে গ্রাফ থেকে তো তাই বোঝা যাচ্ছে ডেল্টা এন প্লাস ডেল্টা এন মাইনাস ওয়ান এরকম তো রাইট শিফটেড ভার্সন গুলো যোগ করেই তো ইউএন হচ্ছে।
না, এইটা করলে তোমার অসুবিধাটা কি হচ্ছে? দুটোর মধ্যে তফাৎ কোথায়?
মানে সে এটা ঠিক বুঝতে পারলাম না এই ডেল্টা আই এর জায়গাটায়, মানে এখানে ডেল্টা মানে আইটা মাইনাস ইনফিনিটি থেকে ভ্যারি করলে মানে সেই জায়গাটা ঠিক বুঝতে পারলাম না এক্সপ্রেশনটা।
দেখো দেখো, ধরা যাক এন ইকুয়াল টু 0,
হুম।
ঠিক আছে?
হ্যাঁ।
তাহলে এই সামেশনটা কি হবে?
মাইনাস
একটা
ইনফিনিটি
ডেল্টা
থেকে
0
জিরো
থাকবে,
লিমিট।
একটা
হ্যাঁ
ডেল্টা 0 থাকবে, ডেল্টা
হ্যাঁ
মাইনাস 1 থাকবে, ডেল্টা মাইনাস 2 থাকবে ইত্যাদি।
হ্যাঁ।
তাহলে সামেশনটা আসলে ডেল্টা 0, তার মানে 1, ইউ 0 তার মানে 1 বেরোলো।
হুম।
n ইকুয়াল টু 1 বসাও।
স্যার এই দুটোই স্যার একই আছে, আমি যেটা বলছিলাম ওটা একই। কারণ এখানে স্যার ফাইনালটা স্যার ডেল্টা আই, ওখানে এন হচ্ছে ফাইনাল লিমিট, তা ডেল্টা এন হচ্ছে ফাইনাল, তার আগে হলো ডেল্টা এন মাইনাস ওয়ান, তার আগে বলতো ডেল্টা এন মাইনাস টু, এরকম ধীরে ধীরে ডেল্টা মাইনাস ইনফিনিটি অব্দি চলে
আচ্ছা
যাচ্ছে,
ঠিক
একই
আছে, তাহলে
হচ্ছে
হ্যাঁ,
একই
তাহলে
হচ্ছে।
ঠিক আছে, বুঝতে পেরেছি, বুঝতে পেরেছি, ঠিক আছে তাহলে। আর এইটা কেন বুঝেছো? এইটা যদি না বুঝে থাকো তাহলে আমি বলছি। এবার n ইকুয়াল টু ইউ 0 মানে হচ্ছে 1, সেটা বুঝতে পারলে।
হ্যাঁ।
Consider n equal to 1. Then what will be this summation? Delta 1 will be there, delta 0 will be there, delta minus 1 will be there, etc. Out of this, only delta 0 is 1. Delta 1 is 0. So again, u1 becomes 1. All right.
হুম।
Consider n equal to 2. Then you will have in this summation delta 2 plus delta 1 plus delta 0 plus delta minus 1 plus delta minus 2, etc. Of all these components of the summation, only delta 0 is 1, others are 0. So u2 becomes, sorry, u2 বলছিলাম তো, only delta 0 is 1, others are 0. So u2 becomes equal to 1. Again consider n equal to 3. You have delta 3 plus delta 2 plus delta 1 plus delta 0 plus delta minus 1, delta minus 2, etc. Out of all these components of summation, only delta 0 is 1. All other terms are 0. So u3 also is 1. In this way. বুঝতে পেরেছো?
হুম, বুঝেছি।
বসে একদম n এর বিভিন্ন ভ্যালু বসাও, 0 1 2 3 4 এরকম করে, তাহলে
হ্যাঁ
বুঝতে
স্যার
পারবে।
বুঝেছি। হুম।
আবার কনফিউশন হলে আমাকে আবার জিজ্ঞেস করবে। Third example is that of a causal exponential sequence. That means this exponential sequence, it has 0 values for n less than 0, and for n greater than equal to 0, it has an exponential expression. which this is the nature of the sequence that I am considering. Xn e to the power is e to the power minus an tau un into un. So for a real positive A, I have just depicted it. First, let me try to point out, let us try to explore what will be the nature of this sequence for different range of values of small a. So here, for real positive small a, what will happen starting from n equal to 0, it has a value of 1, xn has a value of 1, then it decreases exponentially. The time constant is 1 by a. All right. That is for positive a greater than 0. What will happen for negative a? That's what will happen. Do you agree with that? Real a less than 0. It will become unbounded. It has a value of 1 at n equal to 0, then it grows exponentially and tends to becomes unbounded. What will happen when a is 0? A is 0 means it's simply the unit step sequence. This is the nature for unit step sequence. Now, point is, if this is the nature of the sequence, what will be the expression for the Z transform? This is the expression starting from, this is the causal sequence. So for n equal to 0 to infinity, it's e to the power minus n tau z to the power minus n. If you break up this summation, that will be the result. What will be the sum of this progression? Provided that magnitude of z is greater than e to the power minus a tau, magnitude of that, it will converge to this expression, 1 by 1 minus e to the power minus a tau z to the power minus 1. Z is a complex variable. That means magnitude of a to the power tau into z, that should be greater than 1, isn't it? For the convergence of this series. That gives us a region of convergence expressed by this expression. So this is the expression for the Z transform. Alternatively, you can absorb tau within A. That is the more usual form, because we are dealing with sequences. So why should tau be there? So xn is e to the power minus n un. Now 1 by a, it's not the time constant in time units, but it is the time constant in terms of number of samples. This many number of samples constitute one time period, the time constant of the system. So there simply xz will be zxn equal to 1 by 1 minus e to the power minus a z to the power minus 1. And that will be the ROC, region of convergence. That region in the z plane. Now, if a is real, there are three possibilities. A is real and positive. Sorry, A is real. That thing I have considered later. A is real, then there are three cases. A equal to 0 is 1, A is positive, that is 1, and A less than 0, that is 1. A is negative. When A is equal to 0, the pole lies on the real axis. If A is less than 0, that means if the sequence grows with time, then the pole will lie outside the circumference of the unit. It will lie on the real axis, positive real axis, but outside the circumference of the unit circle centered at origin in the z plane. Just if you think in the converse manner, say you have the knowledge of the z transform of a particular causal signal. Z transform of a particular causal signal is known to you. And from that you can ascertain the location of the poles. So if you find that there is a pole located at z equal to 1, there is a pole. There are other poles also, but there is at least one pole which is located at z equal to 1. What can you infer? You can infer that that causal sequence in the time domain, it has a steady component, step component. All right. If for a given z transform of a causal signal, you find that it has a pole on the real axis inside the unit circle centered at origin in the z plane, what can you infer? You can infer that this signal that is being considered in the time domain, it has one component that decays exponentially with time. If you have a signal, third one, if you have a signal with one pole, at least one pole located on the real axis, but outside the unit circle, what can you understand from that? The time domain signal, the time domain sequence, it has a component that grows exponentially with time. You understand? These are the implications. Be clear to note this down. I have not written down so in language, but I am just stating. So write down this part. Merely deriving the Z transforms for sequences, it's all right. But these concepts that I have tried to point out regarding the location of the pole on the real axis and the corresponding time domain behavior of the signal, these are important. Later on, if you go for, more complicated discrete time systems and signals, those concepts will be useful. Remember that although I have drawn here the three cases for real A, the expression for Z transform that we have derived, that is also applicable for complex A and imaginary A. হয়েছে। Now consider the next example. This is quite interesting. Now, before that, as a prelude, let me just point out, well, we have seen the significance of location of the poles in different regions of the positive real axis. Often we neglect the negative real axis, but that is a very, very important. Why? So with that intention of explaining the location of poles, the significance of the location of poles on the negative real axis, I am considering the next example. Yn is of this form, minus 1 to the power n, e to the power minus an un. If that is the case, then what will be the nature of yn? First of all, minus 1 to the power n. It means that the alternate samples will have opposite signs, isn't it? Alternate samples will have opposite signs. So at n equal to 0, what will happen? Yn will be 1. Then at n equal to 1, yn will have a negative value. It will depend on the value of small a. So positive, negative. Again, in the next instant, sampling instant is positive. In the next sampling instant is negative. But the envelope, that is the exponential sequence. All right. So in this way, it will continue, and progressively it will diminish to 0. That is the case for positive a. What will be the case the sampling frequency. If I tell you the value of sampling frequency, can you find out the frequency of oscillation of these sequences yn? See, from 0 to 1, there is a distance of, what is this time interval between n equal to 0 and n equal to 1. Time interval is how much? Tau units, isn't it? Tau units is the time interval. Obviously, the time interval between two adjacent samples, that is tau unit sampling period. Then from 1 to 2, it is again tau units. What is the time period of this oscillation? Time period of the oscillation is the stretch from 0, n equal to 0 to n equal to 2, or from n equal to 1 to n equal to 3. That means the time period of oscillation is 2 tau. That means the frequency of oscillation is fs by 2. So yn oscillates at a frequency that is half the sampling frequency. Yn oscillates at the frequency that is half the sampling frequency. So depending on if A is 0, the oscillation is a steady oscillation at half the sampling frequency. If A is greater than 0, then the oscillation is at half the sampling frequency, but the amplitude of oscillation, diminishes in an exponential manner. If A is less than 0, then the oscillation is at the same half the sampling frequency, but the oscillation grows with time and it becomes unbounded. All right? Do you agree with that? Z transform of Yn, this is the expression. So 1 minus e to the power minus a, z to the power minus 1 plus e to the power minus twice a, z to the power minus 2, etc. So here also the region of convergence is magnitude of z greater than magnitude of e to the power minus a. That means for that condition, the Z transform will converge, and it will converge to an expression 1 by 1 plus e to the power minus a, z to the power minus 1. So where are the poles located? If you convert it in terms of z, that will be equal to zyn will be equal to z by z plus e to the power minus a. So the poles are, the pole is located at z equal to minus e to the power minus a. In the earlier case, what was happening? It was z equal to e to the power minus a. That was the location of the pole. Z equal to e to the power minus a. That's why the pole was located on the positive real axis. But now it will be z equal to minus e to the power minus a. So poles will be located on the ছবিটা গেল কোথায় রে? ঠিক আছে, ছবিটা কোথায় মিস করে গেছি, এঁকেছিলাম। So it will oscillate at half the sampling frequency. আমি নেক্সট দিন ছবিটা আঁকবো, লেখো। দেখা যাচ্ছে তো মেটেরিয়ালটা?
Yes, sir.
দাঁড়াও একটু একটা জিনিস লেখো যতটুকু লেখার। হয়েছে? ছবিগুলো আমি কপি পেস্ট করতে গিয়ে কোথাও একটা অন্য ফাইলে মিসপেস্ট হয়ে গেছে, আজকেই বানাচ্ছিলাম বসে। You can draw the figure on your own. The poles located on the negative real axis. Anyway, I am moving on to the last example. I'll give the figure tomorrow. Now consider a causal sinusoidal sequence. So xn is 0 for n less than 0 and xn equal to a sine omega naught n tau for n greater than equal to 0. Or if you want to represent it by a single expression, you can write it as xn equal to a sine omega 0 n tau un. So to obtain the Z transform of this sequence, you can proceed in this manner. That is the general expression for the Z transform of a causal sequence. Now express the sine function by using these exponential components. So in place of sine omega 0 n tau, you may write e to the power j omega 0 n tau minus e to the power minus j omega 0 n tau divided by twice j. 1 by a by twice j can be taken out of this summation. So there are two summations here. So within the brackets, there are two summations. Now both these summations will converge for magnitude of z greater than 1. Why it is so? Because magnitude of e to the power j omega 0 n tau into z, that is same as magnitude of z, because magnitude of whether it is e to the power j omega 0 n tau or e to the power minus j omega 0 n tau, its magnitude will be 1. So magnitude of the product will be simply magnitude of z. So for convergence, magnitude of z should be greater than 1, and the expression for the z transform will come out of that nature. The same expression, same type of expression that we derived in the earlier case. Same type of expression. All right. Now if you try to recombine them, see, I have tried to recombine them, you get e to the power j omega 0 tau minus e to the power j omega 0 minus j omega 0 tau. That term is there. So that divided by 2j, it will yield this sign term. And in the denominator, you have e to the power j omega 0 tau plus e to the power minus j omega 0 tau. If you divide it by 2 and multiply it by 2, you will get this 2 into cosine term. All right. So that is zxn. So this is the expression for zxn or that one. And the region of convergence is magnitude of z greater than 1. All right. So I have factorized the denominator and I have obtained these expressions. So where are the poles located? There is a 0 at z equal to 0, the origin in the z plane. There the 0 is located. Now where are the poles located? There is a complex conjugate pair of poles located at 1 with argument plus minus omega 0 tau. So this is the location of one pole and that is the location of another pole. These angles, each of these angles is omega 0 tau. That straight line length is 1. All right, these are the locations. So the complex conjugate pair of poles lying on the circumference of the unit circle centered at origin in the z plane. So that is the speciality. Now, if you consider sine waves with higher frequencies, what will happen? That pole will shift in the anti-clockwise direction. All right. And this pole also will shift in this direction. So the angle will increase in both these cases. To write down this part.
স্যার একটু স্ক্রল আপ করবেন।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ লিখেছো তো আগেরটা?
Yes, sir.
Like the exponential sequence, this sinusoidal sequence also, you can absorb tau within that angular frequency. And so the sequence may be expressed as a sine capital omega 0 n un, where capital omega 0 is this product, small omega 0 into tau. So unit of capital omega 0 is in radian. So in DSP, it's very common experience that angular frequencies are expressed in radians. Truly speaking, they are radians per sample, expressed in radians. So be aware of that. Therefore, if you have knowledge of the Z transform of any sequence and say you don't have a direct knowledge of the time domain sequence, if you find that the Z transform has several poles and out of these two poles, they constitute a complex conjugative pair of poles lying on the circumference of the unit circle in the Z plane, then you all right, let's stop today here.